Hello, viewers, and welcome to the latest episode of The Huddle. Tim Poole here, editor of Gambling Insider and Gaming America, and we've got a special guest today, Rickard Vikström, CEO and founder of Internet Vikings. Rickard, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tim.
Always good to talk to you. We had a really interesting chat about the American market for Gaming America quite recently. Could you maybe tell our viewers a little bit about maybe the kind of arguments you put forward in that interview, but also a little bit about the Internet Vikings story?
No, but absolutely. No, but I think we talked a bit about the US market and how it's going, and I believe that we'll start seeing more states. We see the story coming online, but even more coming online, and that's what we do: help operators and all other license holders to do hosting in each and every state to be compliant. It's that easy. Then, of course, under the hood, it's a lot of things that we do, but that's what we help our customers with.
Absolutely. As we discussed, your message was one of you very much can succeed in the US, and almost as a use case, you put kind of the growth you've seen and the fact that the US is such a big part of your business now.
Yeah. No, but today it's 75% of our group revenue, and 3 years ago it was like 1%. So the tremendous growth we have seen the last 3 years is just crazy, and I think it's just from like all colleagues at Internet Vikings, every partner that we work with, just to put everything together. It's been a lot of work, but I'm very proud actually to what we have done, how we have succeeded, not coming from the US, like from Europe from the start, but be able to succeed and deliver that kind of great service that we have.
And given your kind of your experience in the US and everything that you've seen and witnessed during this growth, as we go into 2025 now, what are the biggest talking points for you and perhaps for your partners as well?
As for everyone, like, will there be any new iGaming states? I think that's the talk. Also, like ramping up the current iGaming state, like Pennsylvania is good. What's happening? Like, how many suppliers can there be? What's happening with the legacy suppliers, like content suppliers in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, and West Virginia? Will they start to get more and more competition from the new ones? And same thing with like new brands maybe coming in. Like, we're seeing some growth for like smaller brands, which is good. We see some on their like short way to profitability, if you call it like that, which is good, because in my opinion, the industry needs more than just 2, maybe 3 players that's generating cash out of the US, because that's how we get a sustainable market.
Definitely. So, I mean, it's something we touched on in that Gaming America interview before. There's examples of brands that have tried in the US, perhaps taken the wrong approach and left. But there's success stories too. We mentioned Playstar last time we discussed in New Jersey, and people like sort of Bet365 coming in as well. These ingredients to succeed when it comes to suppliers, operators, what do they need, and what are the right things that they need to do to ensure that success?
But I think it's starting any business. Don't overdo it. Don't underdo it. And just focus on the things that a customer wants to have, and not focus on every other issues that might arise when you build a company. Focus on what the customer wants, how to drive that customer value. Because if you have a good product for the customer players, then you will succeed. That's what we have seen. Like, take a simple game as the Crash games that's been so successful the last 5 years. It's a very simple thing, but it really attracts some players, which is, again, very simple thing. And I think we'll see more of that in the US. There is this kind of evolution of other products that will attract the players.
Obviously, we've had a general election in the US recently. A couple of angles with that. Firstly, not necessarily a question, but it was interesting to see the success of kind of Polymarket and, or certainly the predictive data and modeling behind the results. But in general, kind of, what kind of impact do you think we can see on maybe states legalizing or the market in general from the results of the election as well?
Like for the federal, like like for the federal election, nothing, more or less. I can't see anywhere where that could have any impact on the state by state legislation. But what I think is that there will be some states that need more money to fund their budgets, basically what they promised in going into the election. And a very easy way to do that, as we've seen in New York, is to legalize gaming. It's that easy. It's a way to get revenue to a state, to get tax revenue. And that's something we'll see. I don't know how many states we'll see this year, but it will, because each and every state need to be able to handle more. They need more revenue to fund what they're doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned online gaming, online casino, iGaming earlier on. As you said, we don't know how many states will legalize when. I'm not going to ask you to predict how many this year because no one could know. But in general, are we looking at maybe sooner rather than later, given that kind of the tax revenue that it generates?
I think everyone hopes so. Everyone, me included. And will it happen? I don't know. It's a 50-50. Anyone will say it's more than that. It's taking a big bet on it. I wouldn't bet that much on it. I think it will gradually grow within the next decade. Like, I hope a few states per year, and in two ways, because a few states per year is what our industry can handle. If there's like 5-7 states a year, it's too many. Like we saw that like 2 years ago when you had big states in that 12-month circle with Ohio, Massachusetts, New York, if you look a little bit longer time period, because it was just too much for the operators, for the suppliers to handle. And it's a stress to the organization. It's a stress that's not necessary. So I really hope we're only talking about 2 per year, which would be perfect for everyone, including a few iGaming of that 2 per year as well.
Yeah, and if online casino and more iGaming is regulated in states as opposed to just sports betting, could that help the competitiveness of the market? Because obviously in sports betting at the moment you have a couple of brands that are really dominant, but in online casino, there's more variety, and you would think more chance of kind of competition and success elsewhere in the market.
Absolutely. No, but that's what, like you mentioned, PlayStar. That's what we see with niche brands for niche markets. There's a few other ones as well. You have Crab Sports in Maryland, and a few others that really find their niche and do it well. So I believe that we will continue to see that kind of thing. And like I said, with the casino, with the iGaming, that's where you will have it. We've seen it in mature markets like the UK, like Sweden, where you have like casino-only brands that just so focus on doing that well, that just really have a tremendous growth.
Mm-hmm. And looking slightly in a different sphere, but it's all linked, of course. I imagine that will be very helpful for the affiliate sector, because affiliates at the moment, even some of the biggest affiliates in North America, just recently reporting some kind of dips in revenue. I think related to kind of in sports betting, some of the biggest names, players don't necessarily maybe need to search affiliates for them, but again, in online casino, that should help.
No, but absolutely. And my belief is that if/when Sweepstakes will get taken away from the table, and because affiliates making a lot of money on Sweepstakes at the moment, and if that's removed, or we're seeing all this the actions against Sweepstakes, and what will happen with that, and when affiliates can't send traffic to the Sweepstakes, US traffic, okay, what would that mean? Would that then mean that they will start sending that traffic to state licensed casinos, which would then increase that business, and the licensed business will grow even quicker? So I hope that will happen.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, really interesting to bring up Sweepstakes. I mean, a massive topic at the moment. In terms of your, what do you think of the real growth we saw in those kind of numbers? I don't want to say recently, but certainly it's become a little bit more mainstream recently.
No, but you've seen so many jumping into that game the last 12 months, last 18 months. Will it stay for another 18 months? No one knows. We are not doing anything with sweepstakes. We took a decision about that like 2 years ago because we didn't know. And we see right now with the regulators going against it. You have both the regulator, but also the state, the Justice Department at the states is doing actions against it, which then I think it was a good decision that we took, that we are not doing anything with sweepstakes. Because we see a lot of people making a lot of money from it, but will it stay for another day, another month, another 5 years? No one knows. And we'll see. But it's an interesting market because it really shows that there is a need for online casino in the US, in each and every state. And that's what I think. And it also shows that there's a lot of willingness to pay taxes for it and play. And I think that that's what the states should do with it. Is like, okay, we are seeing a lot of sweepstakes. How can we legalize casino so that we can get part of this revenue as well as a state via taxes?
Absolutely. So a potential trend we could see, and a potential direction is the success of sweepstakes could lead to a rise in kind of legal iGaming. If, of course, sweepstakes would have to go in the other direction.
Yeah, but 100%. Because you have you have Spotify, Apple Music, and the reason why they became so successful is because they saw, and the label saw that, okay, we need to do something with online music, because the Pirate Bay and all the Napster and so on were showing that there's a customer need for it, for that kind of way of consuming music. Spotify did an amazing job to get the labels on board, to get everyone on board, build a technical platform for it. And now that's how everyone basically consumes music. No one buys CDs, no one downloads it anymore because it's just not good enough. And I think the casino product in the US will go the same way. From, if we call sweepstakes, to show that, okay, there's a need for it. Then you have the casino operators coming in, showing that and are willing to pay tax for it, and then it goes to a mature market. But it will take 10 years, like it took with Spotify.
Yeah, a couple of interesting trends. One, Spotify, more kind of Scandinavian influence, kind of affecting kind of global markets. But also, the story you kind of told there, that's that's demand very much creating the way an industry goes.
Yeah, no, but exactly. Like you have Pirate Bay being a Swedish product, you have Spotify being a Swedish product. It's and it's just to have that kind of a showing that the consumer wants something else than buying CDs as it was 20 years ago. It's that easy, and that's what I think here as well. For the casino side and sports betting, people want to play on a local licensed, legal state, like controlled casino in the US, as in Sweden. But some regulators, like the Swedish one, might put, and German one, put boundaries so you cannot play it because it's not a good experience for the player. And some states, like in the US, that just say, okay, we don't allow it for the citizens in New York, as an example. So two issues, and the only way to solve it is having a good regulation. So, and it's quite easy. Just solve that, good regulation that works for everyone, then you will have a nice mature market.
Yeah. So looking ahead, and I stress we've said a few times that we don't have a crystal ball. We don't necessarily know exactly what's going to be around the corner. But in terms of trends and things you're looking, maybe predicting to see in 2025, what are you guys looking out for from a US perspective?
I would say both on the supplier side, more suppliers coming into the market. I still believe it's not enough slot titles. If we look at that, it's not. If you compare it to Europe, it's like, my guess is 10 to 20% in the 4, 5, 6 states, depending how you're counting, in the US compared to Europe. So a lot more content, because that would also drive the casino market, like we saw with Crush games in Europe 5 years ago. I'm not saying that the Crush game will work in the US, but that kind of niche product will find consumers in the US that wants to play that game. And I think that's on the supplier side, we need more suppliers, because that's building the experience, that's building up the industry. On the other side, for the operators, I think, like I said, we'll see more niche players, as we've seen in Europe. That's really good at the marketing, really good at the dollar they put in, they're getting $2 back, which means that they can grow at a very high pace. But again, also states legalizing. But I think still we need more suppliers going into the market, because it's just, I think in the US you have 50 to 75 licensed companies. That's not like payment affiliates and so on, but like that's in operating, running a casino. Platforms, operators, content, sportsbooks providers. It's like 50 to 100. It's not a lot compared to Europe.
Mm-hmm. A final question from me. We've talked a lot about the US market in general, but from an Internet Vikings perspective, what are you guys, any new products, any kind of roadmaps, plans? What can we expect from you in the US in 2025?
No, but Missouri is the new state. We're like, what we hear is like a Q3 go live, which means that I have a lot of work to do with that in Q1. So that's a full focus on Missouri, I would say. I don't know, maybe I need to go to the Ozarks and see that place. But that's a full focus, and also disaster recovery. A lot of talks, because we've seen so many companies running multi-$100 million business from one location, one rack, one physical infrastructure, to have that just redundant.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy.
Yeah. Well, Rickard, thanks very much for your time. Really enjoyed speaking with you as always. And I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah. See you at ICE.
Yeah. See you at ICE, and best of luck with everything at 2025 as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Thank you.
To our viewers as well, thanks for watching.